This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What am I, an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Hello and welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Wednesday, February 10th. This is episode 320. I'm Dan Ellis, joined again via remote by two awesome co-hosts, Mr. Ryan Duffy.
Oh, yes?
And Mr. Taylor Grin.
I'm here live. I'm not a cat. I should have done that one.
Nice. Yeah. So for I'm sure most people in our listening audience have seen that video. Ryan sent it to me. I've been offline or not. Well, I've been online, but not really on social media for a few days very much. A few minutes here and there, maybe while I'm taking a poop. Yeah, so it's just been, it sounds like all three of us have had a time over the past few days. It's been filled with some challenges. What's new with you guys? Let's start with Mr. Duffy real quick. What's shaking in your world, man?
I don't know. Well, the best news I have is today I managed to order the glass to go into the top of the coffee table. That's the last piece I'm waiting on, and it's done.
Nice.
It's motherfucking done.
Is it just going to lay on top, or have you made a place to like insert
it inserts into it, which I'm just fucking hoping all my math is fucking dead nuts on.
Yeah.
So when that glass perfectly. Yeah.
Nice.
Considering the glass isn't very cheap.
Yeah.
Let's just say the entire thing to build material wise was about $550. $220 if that's the glass.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it's a little pricey.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm excited to have that done. I'm probably going to move it inside the house. Give it some sweet loving. Nobody can see this, but
nobody can see what you're doing
for an audio medium. Yeah. I'm doing a mixture of urethane and wax on it for the finish. So I just kind of put a light layer of urethane to kind of go into the top layer of the wood and kind of harden it up. Then I sand it, and then I just keep pressing wax into it to give it a nice sealed finish. Make it little shiny. It doesn't look as plasticky.
Yeah.
So I find that when I use the wax versus just using like a poly or a urethane, those make it shiny, where the wax helps go in there and kind of give it more of a natural wood look, but it's also protected.
Nice. Yeah, it's looking really good. I'm excited to see the finished product.
Yeah, it's me too.
Woohoo! Anything else going on?
I almost got another dog today by accident.
Oh, that would be too many dogs for sure.
I know. I was walking Oz and Lulu, and a dog kept following me today.
Oh yeah.
So I got home, and of course I tell Sarah a dog was following me. I tried to grab its collar to find out who its owner was, but Oz and Lulu didn't like me playing with the other dog. So of course me and Sarah had to go for a walk around the neighborhood, and we couldn't find it. So hopefully it found its way back home.
Well, good. How about you, Mr. Grin?
I got bad news about a friend earlier this week. Not even really a friend, like kind of a father figure to me. So that's been just depressing. Yeah, cancer sucks ass. I really fucking hate cancer. And I'm not going to talk about that much because he hasn't talked about that much, but I've just been down for the last few days. And then in other news, I guess I've applied for another master's program the university that Sandra is attending right now out in Sweden. So hopefully I can get into this like global politics program that they've got over there. It's really focused on like I said, global politics as opposed to like local or national politics. And it's also oriented around social change. So what I'm hoping to do is research specifically how like different nationalist groups like La Front National and the Fidesz party, Hungary, Poland, all those different groups, Turkey, have been like working on nationalism together, which is paradoxical, but increasingly the world has seen, nationalist extremist groups kind of crossing oceans to talk to each other and achieve their agendas. So I'm hoping I can do more research in that field if I get accepted into this program. So,
well, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of your bag. You like researching the extremist groups.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but it did, and it would be really nice to have some better credentials under my belt for it. So
yeah.
Well,
that sounds cool.
I will say, for a person who researches hate so much, you're not a very hateful person.
Oh man, I don't know, man. After getting my bad news this week, I realized that as far as Kubler-Ross is concerned, I go straight to anger. Like I've just been mad for like 48 hours, just mad.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. That's no bueno. I've got a friend of mine who, her mother, actually a lot of our listeners may know Tony Netzler. She's on the social media a lot, and she's a friend of mine in real life here in Utah. And, her mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer like last week. And so Tony moved her into her home, and I think it was the day after she moved in that her mom passed away. So that's been rough. And then I've just been tied up with all kinds of shit since we recorded last. Editing the last episode proved challenging because we've got some technical difficulties going on here in the studio that I still need to get sorted out. Was planning to do that, and then took me a bit longer to edit the show. Sorry for everybody out there who was waiting for it. It was delayed a day or two, maybe. I don't know. Time is a blur right now. And then over the weekend, following the Super Bowl, Tracy and I had settled downstairs to watch a show before going to bed, and got a call late at night from one of our daughters, or from our middle child, and she called in hysterics, and it ended up that she and her fiance are no longer a thing. He got very angry, very drunk at a Super Bowl party, was asked to leave, threw a fit, went home and destroyed their townhome and her car, and was arrested. And so Tracy and I had to drive over to her place really late Sunday. I don't think we got back home until it was between 2 and 2:30 in the morning.
Oh shit.
And then, our middle child, Danica, came and stayed with us. And then Monday we spent all day having to move her out of her place. We moved all of her stuff, we had to pack it all up, move it, and then unload it at both, a family member's home who they just barely moved in the weekend before. They're renting a new home and have an unfinished basement, so we were able to store a bunch of Danica's stuff over there. What didn't get put over there came to our house, and Danica is now staying with us while she works on rebuilding her life and getting all that straightened out again. So we're not empty nesters anymore. It's nice to have her around. She's a good kid. But
so you don't have your woodworking shop anymore in the garage?
No. I never actually even got it all put together because it's just one thing after another, man. There aren't enough hours in a day. And, couple that with tax filing season being upon us and work being super busy, and then me having to take time off work to help deal with all of this, which is, I'm eternally grateful that I'm able to have a bit of a flexible schedule and be able to, handle my family concerns first, but the work that I do doesn't go away. It just piles up. And so the time taken off doesn't mean that anybody else is doing my work. It's just still there waiting for me and piling up with more work on top of it. So I worked most of the day today and part of the day yesterday, and it's just it's too much. I'm already doing the job of 3 fucking people, and then all of this on top of it. I just want a couple days where I do nothing. Sometimes I feel like running away to the mountains. Just building a little shelter out of sticks and brush, and just thinking and zenning and being in a quiet place for a while.
I did that for about 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's no joke. There's probably about a good 5-6 years of my life where I spent every single day I wasn't at the fire station in the mountains.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That sounds delightful. Was this to just decompress? Was it spurred by anything? You just like being in the mountains?
I think it was to decompress. I was probably a little depressed and just had to get away from everything. This was also right after I got out of the military and was still dealing with all that shit.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well,
right after I got out of my first tech school, I fucked off to the Pacific Northwest for like a month just with a camping bag and would go to different national parks.
Yeah.
And just chill at each place for a few days until I needed to wash my underwear, and would go into town, do that at a laundromat, and then go back out into the wild. Yeah.
Oh man. See, these are the things you can do when you don't have kids at an early age.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Having Tracy and I both having kids at a young age is, it has its ups and downs. It's great that, we're still fairly young and our children are adults now and self-sufficient, and, we were empty nesters for a few years, and that was awesome. And it's great to see our kids. It's nice that, at this point in our lives, we, our kids are all self-sufficient and can take care of themselves. And then we have some disposable income to go and do stuff. The downsides of all of that is, of course, that, we were young parents, and so we're stupid and we fuck up a lot more than people who have kids at an older age. And, that translates into our kids having a less good life than they otherwise could have had we waited. It meant that, like, I never finished my degree because I needed to start work to support a family and everything. And so that's led to some missed career opportunities for me, but overall I'm doing pretty well, I think, in that regard. I still want to go back to school eventually if I ever find time to do so. It's just been a little difficult. And with all of that said, and kind of out of the way, you guys again allowed me to put the burden of producing a lot of the content for tonight's show onto your shoulders. And so thank you both very, very much.
Yeah.
For preparing some stuff. And I am coming into this pretty much cold. Like I communicated with you guys and you both graciously said, no problem. We'll pick up the slack. When I found out everything with Danica and having to deal with that, you guys jumped on the ball and said you'd handle all of the stuff for the show. So I thank you very, very much. And I'm excited to see what we're going to be talking about. We'll all figure that out when we get back from this short, low break.
Yeah, hopefully it's not shit.
I have faith in you. It'll be great.
This is Mithrin, author of the ABCs of Science and Mormonism, as well as I Should Start a Cult, and you're listening to the Godless Rebelution.
Next up, Gorilla Enclosure. Gorilla Enclosure. Tragedy always brings the internet together, and nothing was more tragic online than the Harambe incident. Rest in peace, Harambe. Tear off God's dick and arms.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
Well, welcome back, everybody. So, as I mentioned in the opening segment, I don't know a whole lot about what you guys are prepared, but I'm excited to talk about it and hear what you're going to be telling us. Yeah. I'll turn it over to you, Ryan. What's up?
Well, we're going to take you down a little rabbit hole of fuckery.
Okay.
Some people playing John Fuck here.
John Fuck.
That's my favorite saying.
I've never heard that one before.
Because I made it up.
Oh, okay.
I use it in the fire station quite a bit.
Okay.
I've heard fuck games, but I have not heard John Fuck.
Yep. That's what you do when people are fucking around. You're all playing John Fuck, aren't you?
Okay.
All right, now that we got off to a happy mood, let's make you all depressed.
Oh, fun.
So we're going to talk about Kalief Browder, who was arrested on May 15th, 2010, on suspicion of stealing a backpack. And he was 17 years old. So on that date, police responded to a 911 call placed by Roberto Bautista? Yeah, like the actor or wrestler or fighter. He was a Mexican immigrant, and he had called about a theft of a backpack containing a camera, $700, a credit card, and an iPad Touch. Bautista said to the police that two black guys, they took my brother's backpack. Browder told the attending police officer, "I didn't rob anyone. You can check my pockets." The police searched Browder, but they did not find anything. They didn't find the backpack, didn't find any of the belongings. But Bautista, who was sitting in the back seat of a police car, identified Browder and his friends as the thieves. He also said that the theft may have occurred 2 weeks earlier. That's because Bautista's testimony of the date of the theft varied between interviews, as well as other aspects of his story. Initially, Bautista implied that the robbery occurred on the night of the 911 call, but upon questioning by officers at the scene, he stated that the robbery had occurred 2 weeks prior. After also implied, after questioning, that someone had merely tried to rob him and may not have succeeded. Furthermore, on the initial police report filed after the arrest, Bautista indicated that the robbery had occurred on or about May 2nd. And this was May 15th. But Bautista later told a detective that it happened on May 8th. So his story is all over the place about the robbery of this backpack that may or may not have happened. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Browder asked the officers why he was being charged and said, "I didn't do anything." A police officer told Browder that he'd be taken to the precinct. He'd likely be allowed to go home. So Browder and his friend were taken to the 48th Precinct Police Station, where they were fingerprinted and kept in holding cells for a few hours. They were then taken to the Bronx County Criminal Justice Court, where they were processed at the court central booking. 17 hours after the arrest, the probation, Browder, the following day, I am skipping over my own lines. I'm trying to follow my own cursor.
Oh, okay.
The following day, Browder was charged with robbery, grand larceny, and assault. Because he was on probation, Browder was not released. At his arraignment, he was charged with second-degree robbery, and bail was set at $3,000. The bail's bondman, so the amount that the family would have had to pay was right around $900. But his family didn't have that money. They couldn't raise the money. They couldn't get him out of jail. Oh, I just put a little box there. So Browder had to stay in jail. Not just any jail, though. He was in Rikers Island. Yeah.
I've heard of that place.
Yeah, Rikers Island does not have the best reputation.
Uh-huh.
That's like some real shit, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. very violent prison, a lot of gang orientation, a lot of cops that aren't that great there. So yeah, it would turn out that he would end up spending 3 years locked up there, and 2 years of that would be spent in solitary confinement.
Oh, hell.
Yeah, 17 years old. The crazy thing is, on the legal side of it, so it went back and forth a lot. At one point in 2011, he was given the option to plead guilty and leave jail right now. But he said, no, I didn't fucking do it. I'm not guilty of doing this. So he proclaimed his innocence the entire time. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until 2013 that they basically found that they couldn't prove that he did anything. The guy who was accusing him, Batista, had went back to Mexico, and they literally had no fucking case. So
hang on, I found this like obscure legal thing here that might be applicable to this. It's something called the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution that guarantees people a right to a speedy trial. That's weird. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, his problem was he had a public defender to start off with.
Ooh.
And the public defender basically said, yeah, you're guilty. So he did not have good representation at all. He had shit for representation, which is why he spent so much time in there the entire time he was proclaiming his innocence.
Yeah, our legal system is kind of fucky. Well, more than kind of fucky. Yeah.
Yeah, real fucky. But while in fights, not only with other inmates, but he had the guards beat him. I think on the list of things that were broken, he had his nose broken, his orbital bone broken. And that's just not good.
So he gets locked up for something he never did because he has a public defender who's overworked and has cases piling up, and they just try to burn through them as fast as they can. And while this poor kid is locked up, he gets the shit beat out of him. Like they crush part of his skull. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, and also, not to mention, he spent 2 of those 3 years in solitary confinement.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And that's really fucked up. Like that fucks with people being in solitary confinement.
You want to know how much it fucks with people? It fucks with people enough that on June 6th, 2015, he hung himself outside of his apartment at age 22.
Oh, Jesus. God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. He ended up committing suicide after this.
That's fucked.
2 years after being released for something he didn't do, he committed suicide.
Wow.
Now, in 2019, the family did end up getting a $3.3 million settlement because of all of this.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure they can use that to like
resurrect
their resurrection spell for their son.
Yeah. He's still dead. He still had to spend all that time in jail for something he didn't do. As a matter of fact, the guy that said he did it might not even know if it actually ever fucking happened.
What?
The backpack may have been stolen, may not have. It may have been stolen on this night, may have been stolen on that night. They had zero evidence to prove he did it, besides Batista saying he did it. Let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse real quick.
Okay.
As Kyle Rittenhouse was a 17-year-old kid who murdered 2 people.
Uh-huh.
We all know that. It just happened not that fucking long ago.
Uh-huh.
He got bailed out by a bunch of fucking right-wing supremacist fucks, Proud Boys, on a $2 million cash bond after murdering 2 people in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Hey, Dan, do you know where he is right now? He got bailed out, and there were...
So last I heard, he had been partying with a bunch of Proud Boys, and...
Oh, yeah. He did that.
And the prosecuting attorneys asked the judge to change the rules of his release so that he cannot have any alcohol and can't associate with any white supremacist groups or people while he's out.
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of did that. He did that just a little bit, which is why the courts filed a motion. But when they sent that motion to his house, he doesn't live there.
He doesn't live at his house?
No, apparently the house that he claimed he was at, he's not.
Well, he's a kid, right? He was living with his mom. Like, did they know? So
what did his public defendant say about that?
Yeah.
Well, according to his attorney, the cops told them to lie about his address.
What?
Because in Wisconsin, if you're in court, your address, and you're in the middle of a case like this, your address is public. So in order for him not to have to deal with the public scrutiny, they said just lie about his address.
So
his lawyers are claiming that
his lawyers are claiming
the address. Yeah.
Yeah. And according to his lawyers, it was the black cop who told them to lie.
Oh my God. So you're telling me that
we have no fucking clue where Kyle Rittenhouse is right now.
Well, so he was released, right?
Yes.
Or bailed out by
about $2 million
through like this GoFundMe or a collection that a bunch of fucking assholes contributed to get this kid out of jail. And
to include the MyPillow guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's seen partying with the Proud Boys and throwing up white supremacist hand signs. And so the prosecutors asked the judge to please don't let him do shit like this anymore. Tell him that he can't be drinking with white nationalists and white supremacists and doing these things anymore. And so was it at that point that he filed whatever paperwork with whatever address, or is this from before still?
So this is from before. So when he got bailed out, he would have given his address as to where he lived, where he was staying, so the courts can get a hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenosha detectives said that they went to the apartment Rittenhouse listed as his address, and a man said he had rented the apartment since December 15th, and that Rittenhouse no longer lived there.
So, and okay, now I'm starting to get even more angry about this than I was. So they gave a false address, and they're saying that the police. So first, so Rittenhouse's attorney is saying that the police told Rittenhouse to provide a false address, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's their excuse.
They gave an address of just some random innocent person. Like knowing that
a previous apartment,
a previous resident. So they probably trying to come up with a fake address. We're like, well, we used to live here. Here's a previous address of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But where
they do not reside anymore.
Well, but so they were told ostensibly that they should provide a false address because these may be public records, in which case people who don't like Kyle Rittenhouse may find this address and go to do him harm. So he gives a prior address, apparently with no concern whatsoever for the innocent person who may be living at that address now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck him.
Yeah. According to his attorney, Mark Richards, he said that Rittenhouse and his family have received death threats since the Kenosha shooting. So he said they moved into a safe house and deleted all their social and media accounts. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. He said upon their release, he would not disclose the location of the safe house. So not only does the lawyer go along with this, saying he's in a safe house, the fucking judge, the cops, nobody else knows where this safe house is.
So how do they serve any paperwork or take him into custody if necessary? I'm guessing they're going to have to relay all of that through his attorney?
I guess.
So his attorney has tried to argue in the last few days that they want to give the court the address of the safe house so long as it's kept under seal, which I suspect is covering their ass measure at this point.
Wow.
And so he was let out on bail in like December or whatever that was. In January, there were photos of him at that bar, right? Which is what led to the prosecutors saying, hey, we want to, change the release agreement so they can't do this shit anymore. And that's the paperwork that they were attempting to serve to the address that was on file. And that's when they realized that he doesn't fucking live there. And so now there is a court appointment for this coming week, where theoretically he will be summoned to the court to, say, hey, like, where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And that puts him in a bind because if he shows up, if he doesn't show up, like manhunt time, right? If he does show up, they'll be able to say, all right, here's the fucking deal. See that bailiff over there? He ain't going to let you go until you give him a real address, and we're going to take you there.
We're going to verify that that's where you are.
Well, because the judge also wants to increase his bail by $200,000 and issue a warrant out for his arrest, but they don't know his whereabouts. They don't know where the fuck he is.
Well, like I said, I mean, I would imagine that his attorney has a means of contacting him and or could supply this information to the police, or should be able to supply this information to the police. And if he's unable to do that, then they should just go, contact his attorney, say, okay, well, we're issuing a warrant for your client's arrest then. And
if you don't tell us where he is, you're held in contempt.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because attorney-client privilege doesn't cover the, current committance of a crime to include hiding a suspect.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's white privilege that allows you to do that. Wow.
And that's why I bring up both of these cases, because that's all that is. I mean, he murdered 2 people we watched it. We saw it. We saw him fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a ton of videos of when that happened.
While Khalif Browder, a 17-year-old kid, spends 3 years in Rikers Island for the suspicion of stealing a backpack with zero fucking evidence to prove he did it.
Holy shit.
For legal purposes, I will be the wet towel that says until he's convicted, allegedly. I'll be the wet towel on that one. But,
well, I mean,
yeah.
Well, are you saying allegedly with Khalif or with Rittenhouse?
With Rittenhouse, just for covering our
Rittenhouse didn't allegedly kill somebody. We saw him kill him, but it's the context around it, I guess.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about that too if you want.
Absolutely. I just know that these people are litigious as fuck. So
yeah. He is guilty of taking someone's life. It's the circumstances around that which are going to be litigated. Was he justified in killing the person, or was he not justified in killing the person? And looking at some other cases that have come to the Supreme Court, I'm going to say no.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. I think that he will be convicted of murder in both counts.
Yeah.
Just so that we don't get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about it is he put himself in that situation. And that makes all the difference in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that made me not very happy. Do you guys have some happy stuff to end the show with?
Well, we got happy stuff to end the show with, unless you want me to talk about, we got a palate cleanser coming up.
Okay. Well,
let's take a break and come back with that.
My name is Dr. Karen Garst. I am the author of Women Beyond Belief, Discovering Life Without Religion. I also have a blog at www.faithlessfeminist.com. You can find me on Facebook at Faithless Feminist. And Twitter, I'm at Karen_Garst. And you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
We know the equations that the electrons that are responsible for chemistry obey. And there's no ambiguity in these equations. They could always be wrong. It is always possible to say, well, we just don't know what is going on. That's fine. But what we have is the evidence of every experiment ever done telling us that these equations are correct. To overcome that, we would need very, very strong evidence. Just one experiment telling us how the soul is pushing around the chemicals in our brain, but we don't have that.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the Twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
And it's called Bigfoot Prints in the Sand. One night I dreamed I was walking along the beach with Bigfoot. Many scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each scene, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were 2 sets of footprints. Other times only 1. This bothered me because I noticed that during the low periods of my life, when I was suffering from anguish, sorrow, or defeat, I could only see 1 set of footprints. So I asked Bigfoot, "Why when I needed you most? Have you not been there for me?" Bigfoot replied, The end.
I can't. It fucking still slays me, man. Like years later, that bit still fucking slays me.
And it's even more depressing now. It's almost sad to listen to that now.
Yeah.
That Oklahoma is proposing a Bigfoot hunting season.
Oh, no.
I know.
I mean, Oklahoma's going to allow people to hunt Bigfoot?
Yeah. I mean, who else is going to follow you in the sand like that?
So hairy guys need to stay, hairy naked guys need to stay away from anywhere in Oklahoma or out in the woods anyway.
If you are a hairy guy in Oklahoma, no more nude sunbathing. You are in trouble.
Are you being serious? This is a thing. They're going to have Bigfoot season in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, I'm being fucking serious about this.
Like duck season, wabbit season, Bigfoot season.
Yeah. Yeah. So a mythical ape-like creature that has captured the imagination of adventurers for decades has now become the target of a state lawmaker in Oklahoma. Republican House members has introduced a bill that would create a Bigfoot hunting season. Representative Justin Humphrey, of course it'd be a Humphrey that does this.
They're free, might as well.
Jesus Christ. But his district includes some very heavily forested mountains. I'm not going to try to pronounce these mountains. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce them. Okay. But they're in southern Oklahoma, where a Bigfoot festival is held every year near the Arkansas state border. He says issuing state hunting licenses and tags could help boost tourism.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want is a bunch of drunk hicks with guns traipsing through the mountains trying to hunt a hairy fucking animal. Well, it looks like a human.
And I mean, if they're like having to purchase tags, then I guess that would also, throw some money into the state's coffers. But then, like, what do they do? This is okay. I apparently I just need to hear the rest of the story because I'm just have more and more questions forming in my mind.
Yeah, there are some nuances to this. But he says that establishing an actual hunting season and issuing a license for people who want to hunt Bigfoot will actually draw more people to their already beautiful parts of the state.
Mm-hmm. With guns.
Oklahoma has beautiful parts.
Well, that's where we get the nuances of this. Humphrey says his bill would only allow trapping, and that he also hopes to secure a $25,000 bounty if someone's able to trap a Bigfoot. So you're not supposed to go out there and kill him. It's more of like a catch and release type thing he wants to do.
Or at least Big Feet supposed to be in like the Pacific Northwest, like not Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I think they have them all over. They go by different terms depending on the area. I think isn't it in Oklahoma? It's like the skunk ape or something like that. I can't.
No, that is Florida.
Oh, is it Florida?
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Oh, God.
You know that not all cryptids are created equal.
Uh-huh.
A Florida man has championed a law to protect the skunk ape, and he has failed twice for the protection of the skunk ape.
See, now David, it sounds like we set that up, and I had no idea.
Nope, you had no idea I had that sitting there.
Okay.
David Seeley, who says he encountered a Florida's version of Bigfoot, albeit one who seems to leave a trail of stink similar to that of rotten eggs, tried a couple of times to get a law passed to protect the creature. Everyone thought the law was a joke. To shoot it down, said Dan Ratiff from Grist. What harm would it have done to pass a law like that?
Wait, did you say he's from Did you say he's from Grift?
Grist.
Oh, I was going to say
I think that's the news outlet this guy is with.
He's an actual grifter.
Yeah.
Thought they had one of those at the Mar-a-Lago.
Ooh, that's a grifter.
Yeah, that's the grifter in chief there. Yeah.
Yeah. But he said, what harm would it do to pass a law like that? It's a skunk ape. It harms no one. Yes, no doubt about it. The lesson here, be careful, skunk ape, because you are not protected in Florida.
Oh, Florida ape man.
So there is one good news about Oklahoma.
Okay.
Mike Holmes, who is a spokesman for the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife and Conservation, says that the agency uses a very science-driven research, and they do not recognize Bigfoot.
Oh. Okay.
So at least there's one person in Oklahoma who's like, yeah, he's not real.
Wait, they don't recognize Bigfoot? Like maybe, do they just need better pictures of him?
Maybe less grainy.
Just blurry.
I just don't recognize this. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Mike Holmes said, as soon as we get one non-grainy image of Bigfoot, we can hunt him.
Uh-huh.
So no clue whether or not this will pass or not. But this isn't the first time this has come up.
What, hunting skunk apes in Florida?
Or passing laws around cryptids.
Oh, okay. What's a cryptid?
It's like cryptozoology, or is any animal that is kind of like more mythological than real.
Made up shit like Bigfoot, Nessie, Chupacabra.
Bigfoot.
Like a coelacanth.
Skinwalkers.
Yeah. Animals that people believe in that have no base in reality.
Okay.
Pumas.
So dragons and that kind of unicorns, elves, gnomes, leprechauns, Bigfoot, all of that kind of shit.
Like the fact that Nessie is protected in Scotland.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I don't, does anybody actually believe in the Loch Ness Monster anymore? Or does everybody just accept that this is a tourist thing?
Well, in 2001, they passed something where they said they would want to get the DNA of the Loch Ness Monster. So if you catch the Loch Ness Monster, all they want you to do is to collect a sample of the DNA from it before releasing it back into the water.
Oh.
And they're flat earthers. You know there are people who believe in fucking Nessie still.
Oh, yeah. According to this, there's still an average of 10 sightings per year for the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, my God. I just as a quick aside, I was unaware that so many people still think there's such a thing as like ghosts and poltergeists and shit like that. Like I live in too much of a bubble sometimes and don't realize that there are a bunch of credulous dummies out there who just believe whatever nonsense they see on the internet.
The New York Times publishes horoscopes every day.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They're not smart people either. I mean, they do it for their audience sometimes. I mean, I like the New York Times, but
yeah.
Some things
I'm sorry,
need to
Dan.
die.
That was very cancer of me.
But you hate cancer.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who Champ is?
Dog?
Is
I don't know. That's all I can think of.
Champ is the American version of the Loch Ness Monster.
Where's Champ? Oh, is that in like Lake Champlain? Is that where this is?
Lake Champlain between New York and Vermont.
Yes. I'm throwing out some good guesses tonight, man.
500 points. Would you like to buy another category?
So back in the 1980s, both states passed a law making it illegal to harm Champ in any way. Instead, both states celebrate. I don't know if you can hear the dogs, but they're going crazy at something. Both states celebrated the serpent-like creature and even host a festival in its honor. The lesson here is you can look, but do not touch.
I wasn't aware that there's a supposed creature in Lake Champlain.
Yep, and you cannot fuck with them.
Well, and thankfully there's already bestiality laws. I imagine, anyway, in like Oklahoma and Florida. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they just don't have those yet.
As long as it's not your cousin. But you probably also want to fuck the Jersey Devil, so he doesn't have to worry about bestiality laws.
The Jersey, like New Jersey?
The New Jersey Devil.
What happened to the old Jersey Devil?
Oh, well, he's in New Jersey, but they just call him the Jersey Devil. There's no old. He's probably old as fuck.
Okay.
But in 1939, the devil was officially named the state demon of New Jersey, and that's the only official state with a demon in its county.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wondered if there were other states that have official demons.
State demon.
Well, but
I'm surprised Utah doesn't have one.
Yeah. The other crazy thing is the Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for the creature to capture it, dead or alive.
Sounds like the James Randi Foundation Award to me.
Does Philly have something against New Jersey? Like, we're going to come in there and steal your fucking your cryptid?
I hope not. This picture's, it looks like a camel with a long spiked neck, a horse's body and wings is the image they have here for the Jersey Devil.
What in the damn hell?
With a spiked tail. And it looks like it's wearing Crocs.
What the hell? That is the weirdest ass thing.
Yeah. It literally looks like it's wearing Crocs in the photo. I mean, I don't know how this was probably from 1939. I don't know how they had Crocs in 1939. We all know that that's the devil's footwear now.
That is, man.
Crocs are the devil's footwear.
Drunk.
Yeah. But, you've heard of the Asian Bigfoot, haven't you?
No.
The Yeti?
The abominable snowman.
Oh.
So, in 2001, in South Asia, in Bhutan, the government created a sanctuary for him, providing more than 250 square miles for it and other wildlife. Of course, if it's invisible, how would you know it's there? Because nobody's seen it.
Well, Carl Sagan runs through a whole bunch of tests that you can try in, what was it? My favorite book of his. It's what made me realize that I was an atheist. Yeah. Demon Haunted World. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
The invisible dragon in his garage.
Mm-hmm.
That you should be able to test for, if it's fire breathing dragon, you should be able to test
all these creatures
for heat, and then you can, test for footprints, all that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
Of course, all those arguments were shot down one after the other,
but at least these things have the ability to do that if they are real.
Right.
If they are real, physical, non-malevolent creatures that bleed.
Did you
unlike some other myths people believe?
Did you say non-malevolent?
Yeah. Did I say that incorrectly?
Yeah.
Probably. If you're laughing at me, I said it wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure what malevolent is. Did you mean?
It doesn't live in space and time. It's it's supposed to be real. It's supposed to be walking the earth. It doesn't live in some fucking cloud in the sky.
So I think you mispronounced the word malevolent. And then
beneficent. Beneficent.
I combined those two words together to make the most awesomest word in the universe. You're welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I didn't know that we had special guest George Bush.
Oh, you are welcome.
Oh, well, in these trying days, people have a hard time putting food on their families. I used to have a whole poster of Bushisms. It was just all of the crazy shit that he said.
And I love that. I mean, I've said it before. I would have a beer with Bush, but not with Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
Bush did a lot of things I thought weren't very good, and I did not agree with.
Yeah. He's still a piece of shit. He just wasn't nearly as malignant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also a piece of shit with charisma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I've known assholes who I still like come away from an evening having a beer with where I'm like, that guy's a dick, but I had a good time.
I mean,
he's a charming motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, when you see the images of him handing Michelle Obama like fucking milk duds or whatever he was fucking handing her at that one thing where she just starts fucking laughing at him like, he's just a goofy guy that probably shouldn't have been president, but
he's a hapless dupe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His brother probably would have done a better job. Actually, I think his brother would have done a better job.
Clap, please. Oh my.
That's my cryptid story to ease people's minds off of the racial disparities going on in this country. That was the palate cleanser I came up with. Something a little more lighthearted, something we can joke about.
Well, that'll fix it
in
all,
these times. It won't fix anything, but hopefully you got to get a giggle out after being pissed for a second.
Yes, I did for sure. Thank you. I definitely needed a little bit of laughter for sure. So thank you. I appreciate that very much. And thank you guys for putting this shit together. I really, really appreciate it more than you know.
Oh, and I loved how you accidentally stumbled right into the skunk ape.
Well, that happens. I stumble into skunk apes all the time. There was one I stumbled into on Monday night when I was moving stuff around.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I hear anyway that, yeah, it smelled like there was a skunk ape in the area. But that's more of an inside joke for my family members who may be listening. That will do it for today's show. We have a bit of a teaser for next week, I think.
Yeah. Do we want to kind of talk about? I'll let Taylor take this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure thing. So me being like a one note kind of guy, we were talking about the Proud Boys earlier, pre-show, with Kyle Rittenhouse doing his whole thing, and Canada labeled the Proud Boys a terrorist organization. I want to say last week, and that is causing some financial issues for any of the Proud Boys who happen to live in Canada. One of the things that people have complained about in the U.S. is that we don't really have any domestic terrorism laws. So like the KKK are not listed as a terrorist group, right? And so next week, what I want to do is I want to get into the recent designation of the Proud Boys as a terrorist group. I want to get into like what the consequences of that are for Canada. And I also want to talk about like freedom of speech versus violence and incitement, whether or not we can prosecute ideology as opposed to action, all that kind of jazz, as it relates to American law, of course, and why it may not be a good idea to have a domestic terror like designation if it were to be modeled after something like Canada, and maybe what would be some good policies to try and tackle domestic extremism, terrorism in the U.S. while balancing, speech and freedom of conscience. So that's what I want to talk about next week.
Yeah, I look forward to that because, when I heard that they had designated the Proud Boys a terrorist organization, I was like, good, fuck those guys. But apparently there are also some drawbacks to that and some problems that may arise.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I'm looking forward to talking about that.
I think Taylor and I were talking yesterday. We were talking about what we're going to do for today's show. And kind of going like just mentally through like, well, fuck yeah, you can't do that. That infringes on this and that will infringe on that. And how do you legally get away with being able to do all this shit without infringing on people's rights? And it's kind of a tricky tightrope to walk.
Yeah.
Well, cool beans.
Let's leave it at just a tease, and we'll give you the whole thing next week.
Fantastic. Thanks again, you guys. This has been fucking awesome. I appreciate you so much. I also appreciate our listeners, and of those listeners, I appreciate our Patreon patrons ever so much because they keep the show going. They provide us with cash money to keep paying for our hosting and devices and all of that kind of shit. So thank you very much to our Patreon supporters. I want to make sure that we thank them by name. That would be Alan Firth,
Christy Kalbach,
Stephen Andrus,
Two Skeptical Chaps,
Vanessa,
Don't Be a Richard,
Ollie Olson,
John McCullough,
Tiffany Hudson,
Sinead Duffy,
miles away. I'm sorry, Tiffany Hudson. Thank you so much.
Utah Outcasts,
Wesley Aaron,
Andrew Vodopich. Did I fuck up the order?
I think, yeah.
We do it all the time.
Do it live.
Jeremy Goodson,
Let Them Eat Covfefe,
Jeff Peterson,
Corey Ebert,
Megan Mitchell,
Freethinker 215,
Tim Jacobson,
Janet Uter,
Savita Kuna,
Taylor Grin.
We need to change that for Sandra at some point. This feels weird. Purple Dragon,
Nico Gonzalez,
Chad Pryor,
and Patreon customer service sucks donkey balls.
Woohoo! Thank you all very, very much. If you, dear listener, would like to become a Patreon patron, you can do so very easily by going to patreon.com/GodlessRebelution, where you can pledge as little as $1 per episode. And then you get fun things like the episode before everybody else. You get it early. You get extended outtakes sometimes. You get bonus episodes sometimes. And some other fun things that we're trying to throw together for the future. I also want to say I have contacted Ollie to let him know that he won, and I know that he sent me a message, but I've been so wrapped up with all of this other shit that I have not even been able to read his message or get anything to him yet. But I'm hoping that in the next few days I'll have some downtime where I can get that all taken care of and handle a bunch of other stuff. So thank you. And thank you guys again. And that's all for me. We'll see you. We'll chat with you or at you next week.
Ooh, I like chatting at people.
I need dick enlargement pills. God damn it.
This is going to be fun. I can just pull out little bits of stuff. Yoink.
You son of a bitch.